Good afternoon there. You are welcome to today's edition of Youth Empowerment Television Show right here on Pan-African TV with me, Mamitra. As you are well aware of, there are lots of conversations going on about our citizenship. This afternoon, I'm tempted to ask you, are you a Ghanaian? Are you even sure that the birth certificate you are holding proves that you are a Ghanaian? Well, that is what my guest and I are discussing this afternoon. And you are invited very well to join the conversation through our Facebook page. Share the link and let other people also join the conversation. But before we get into the conversation, let's listen to the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Tokono's opinion or thoughts or view on this conversation. Don't go away.
Certain jurisdictions, being born in that place makes you a citizen of that country. In our country, being born in Ghana doesn't make you a citizen of Ghana. It is your relationship with your mother. It is your mother's identity, your father's identity. It is your lineage that determines your citizenship. So that form records, that form is actually an international requirement. We must know where everybody is born. That form assists to know your antecedents. But beyond that, your nationality is derived from the information on that form. It is not the evidence of your nationality. It is the beginning of appreciating how your nationality must be determined. It's an originating process.
So if I hold a birth certificate duly issued by a state institution in Ghana, Registrar of Births and Deaths, and it states nationality, Ghanaian, are you saying that that is not enough proof of the nationality of the bearer of that certificate?
May I answer you this way? If you had an English person come and live in Ghana and have a baby in Ghana, that person would have a birth certificate. But that person's record of the parents on that birth certificate would indicate that they are not Ghanaian. So the certificate is a record of where he was born. It is not an indication of the citizenship. Honorable member, from the birth certificate, if your mother is Ghanaian, if your father is Ghanaian, then we can conclude that you are Ghanaian. But from that certificate, if your mother is not Ghanaian, your father is not Ghanaian, that certificate is a record that you are not a Ghanaian. So it is a record that allows us to, I am doing legal deduction. I don't know how else to express myself.
So can I use a birth certificate issued by the births and deaths in this country that says I'm a Ghanaian? Can I use it to prove my nationality as a Ghanaian?
The birth certificate will never tell you that you are Ghanaian. The birth certificate records where you were born and the nationality of your parents.
So the information on that certificate that says that my mother is a Ghanaian, my father is a Ghanaian, would that be sufficient to prove my nationality as a Ghanaian?
No. It will be sufficient to arrive at the conclusion that you are Ghanaian. It's the beginning point.
Welcome back from that brief. This afternoon, we are asking the legal question of whether or not your birth certificate is enough proof of your citizenship. I have Mark and Bafo. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just delve into the conversation right away. Let me ask this question. Who is even a citizen? Who is a citizen of Ghana? Mark, let me start with you. I'll come to Bafo.
All right. So thank you for having me on your show. When it comes to the concept of citizenship, we trace it to law. So before a person would be called a citizen of Ghana, it is the laws of the country that will determine that. And I will take it from Article 6 of the 1992 Constitution.
Yeah. So this is a studious area. So I have my constitution here. So viewers, be rest assured that whatever he says, I'll confirm whether or not it's true, or he's just, throwing dust in our eyes. So I'll confirm Article 6.
Article 6.
Okay, of the 1992 Constitution. I'll definitely be reading it to my viewers today. So you can go on.
So the Constitution provides two means there.
Yeah.
It provides that a person is a citizen of Ghana before the coming into force of the Constitution. So after the coming into force of the 1992 Constitution, and you were a citizen then, you still hold your citizenship. The second one is that after the coming into force of the Constitution, if you are born in Ghana, and either of your parents or your grandparents is a citizen of Ghana, you are automatically a citizen of Ghana. So Ghana operates on the concept of jus sanguinis. Now, jus sanguinis is on the principle that you trace your nationality and your citizenship to your lineage or your descent or by blood. So if you are born in Ghana, it doesn't make you a Ghanaian, or it doesn't make you a citizen of Ghana automatically. However, US operates on the system of jus soli. That is, the fact that you are born on the territory of US makes you a citizen of Ghana, a citizen of US. Good. So Ghana, we don't operate on that system. We operate on the jus sanguinis, meaning before you be called a citizen of Ghana, either of your parents must be a Ghanaian or your grandparents must be a Ghanaian. So you may be born on the soil of US, on the soil of Canada, on the soil of Norway. However, if either of your parents are Ghanaians, you're automatically a citizen of Ghana.
Even though you don't have a birth certificate
Even
to show for?
though you don't have a birth certificate to show for, you are a citizen of Ghana based on that. So that's the concept of citizenship that we are operating here in Ghana.
Okay, let me take Bafo's opinion on that, then we'll move into the next part of it.
All right.
Yeah, Bafo, so who is a citizen? Or he has taken it from the legal perspective. I don't know if you would also tread on that tangent, or you would take it from your mind itself.
All right, okay. You can define citizenship out of the legal context.
Exactly.
Yes. It is. It operates by operation of law. Yes, and we've had a very rich jurisprudence when it comes to who a citizen is. There have been instances that the black letter law has even been challenged, and the court have stepped in the gap to re-emphasize on what makes one a citizen. And I remember in the case of Olympio, yes, the Supreme Court decided, was that the Supreme Court? By then, I think. Yes, the Supreme Court.
Which
That's
year?
1969.
Okay.
Do we have the Supreme Court?
No, we didn't have the Supreme Court.
Court of Appeal.
It was
Court
yes.
of Appeal.
Yes, the Court of Appeal. Yeah, they made a decision, and on that decision, Olympio had a Ghanaian mother, not necessarily even a Ghanaian mother, as at the time of her birth. The Togoland was not yet within the British territory.
Yeah.
And the father is the president of Togo, Nasibe. And at the point where Buzia was trying to enforce the deportation,
Was it when they were trying to deport people who were not citizens? Okay.
His citizenship became questionable at the point that he was being considered as alien. And he also challenged it to the fact that the mother is a Ghanaian, and irrespective of the fact that his father is a Togolese, he's still a Ghanaian.
Ghanaian, yes.
And by operation of law, the law had to favor him. You can also look at Bilson and Rawlings. When Rawlings was challenged for the fact that he had a Scottish father, and per Bilson, he owes allegiance to two different countries,
and then he cannot serve.
Be a president of the country. And the argument that was raised, and I think the emphasis needs to be placed on that. Where does his allegiance belong? Because he made a case that he served in the armed forces.
Exactly.
He took the oath of allegiance. He served as head of state. He took the oath of allegiance. So how then do you question my allegiance to a country as a citizen?
That I have served so thoroughly.
So you could see from every indication that the only way one can prove his nationality or citizenship as by operation of law. Yes, the law will definitely trace us, so irrespective of whatever the uncertainties are, when a case come up, the law would definitely point us to who is a citizen. But then the most important thing, as my brother has said, we trace citizenship by lineage. So yes, you must have a blood parent or a grandparent who is a citizen. Sometimes the whole thing becomes so complicated.
It is complicated.
Let's take it from,
it is very complicated.
I was discussing with a friend.
Yeah.
Let's look at this from this perspective. You know, there are certain jurisdictions, even until the amendment of how do you call it? Article 8 of the Constitution.
Dual citizenship.
Yes, by the Constitutional Amendment Act.
Yeah.
We didn't recognize dual citizenship. So when you acquire as a Ghanaian before Act 529 or is it 27, if you're a Ghanaian and you want to acquire citizenship of the United States, you have to denounce your Ghanaian citizenship. So we didn't really have the, how they call it, dual citizenship then. So imagine someone who was a Ghanaian by birth, get to the United States, denounces his citizenship, and then such a person give birth. Where would, if the child is supposed to trace the citizenship from the father, you know, you have a complexity of law.
Exactly.
When now they call it the foundation. I don't want to go into jurisprudence. Kelson will tell you the ground law. The foundation on which he's trying to draw his legal rights from has been broken. But the Constitution has been very thorough. Sometimes you may consider why the Constitution even bring in grandparents, because if I have a Ghanaian grandparent, automatically it means I have a Ghanaian parent. But then the Constitution also emphasizes some of these circumstances. And it has, how they call it, move ahead. So issue of citizenship is very complicated. Yes, but then we're very sure, as the court has always committed itself to, they will always help us to iron things out.
I think Supreme Court has already decided on this issue in 2020, but it seems to be a very difficult situation for people to accept and even understand, because I find it a little bit confusing and a lot complicated, because if I need a passport, I need my birth certificate. If I need my Ghana card, which seems like the supreme card in the country now, I need my birth certificate. But then why do you keep insisting that this birth certificate, that is the genesis of me receiving a passport? If you get a passport, it means you are a Ghanaian. If you are to receive a Ghanaian passport that has your picture, your authorization and everything, then it means you are a Ghanaian citizen. So if I need this birth certificate, and if my producer can put the birth certificate on the television for us to see, so that we would look at the details on the certificate, the birth certificate, I'll be very happy because of how it is placed. If I need this certificate so badly to prove that I'm Ghanaian, to prove that I am worthy of receiving a passport, of receiving a Ghana card, why is it not enough to prove that I'm a citizen of Ghana? Mark, let me start with you and I'll come back to Bafo.
Sure. I would want to trace the history of the whole citizenship concept, and then I will answer your question.
Okay.
So before 1957, Ghana was colonized, right? Good. So the British Empire was governing 3 colonies before the coming into force of the British Togoland. So there were the Ashanti territories, the Northern territories, and the Southern territories. So these were the territories that were under the colony of the British Empire. Now, in 1956, there was a plebiscite. So that plebiscite brought the British Togoland together. And these are the 4 territories that form Ghana today. So when the order in council of the 1957 came into force, these 4 territories make Ghana. And that is what we call ourselves Ghana today. And you can see that these territories trace their lineage to a particular ethnic group. All the territories I've mentioned, the southern ethnic group that belongs to the Fantis and the rest, and then we have the Ashanti territory, we have the northern territory. They have particular ethnic groups that formed the foundation. And so you trace your lineage or your heritage or your blood to these ethnic groups. Now these ethnic groups make up Ghana. Good. So Order 1 of the Section 1 of the Order in Council 1957 provides that a person is a citizen of Ghana by status and by the operation of the law, and someone who is protected by the British Empire and who has been a subject of the British Empire. That was the definition that was given. Now when you check the Republican Constitution, 1960. When you check the second Republican Constitution, 1969. The third Republican Constitution, that is the 1979. And the current Constitution, 1992. They all give the reference to your lineage. That means that for you to be a citizen of this motherland, you need to trace your lineage to either of your parents or your grandparents. Now, on the face that we can't use the birth certificate as an identification, it's on 2 points. One, the birth certificate is a genesis. It is one of the...
so you agree with
I agree with
Justice Tokono?
Exactly.
Okay.
That it is one of the legal documents used to establish your identity. But it does not establish or prove your citizenship in the country. I'll prove that. So
it's a little bit confusing. That's why I wanted them to put the birth certificate, because on the face of the birth certificate they have your mother's name, the nationality of your mother.
Exactly.
And per our constitution, if your mother or either of your parents is a Ghanaian, you automatically... Okay, so we have the birth certificate. I apologize to whoever this birth certificate belongs to because I don't think it's supposed to be in public domain, but it's on Google, so I apologize to whoever it belongs to. So you see the person's name. My viewers would have a better view of it. You see the name of the person, you see the person's mother's name, and then you see the nationality of the mother. It is their nationality, and then they put Ghana. Okay, so my producers have done a great job of cancelling the person's name out. That's excellent job. So you see the person's name, you see the person's mother's name, you see the person's father's name, you see the nationality of both parents. So if per our constitution, if one of my parents is Ghanaian, and it automatically makes me a Ghanaian citizen. If on my birth certificate my name is Gifty, my name is there, my mother's name Joyce, and she's Ghanaian, it automatically makes me a Ghanaian. Why are we saying that this birth certificate does not prove my nationality or my citizenship?
Good. So the purpose of the birth certificate is to record your existence as a human being in a country. It is for the government to have a record of you, that this person is living in this country. And that is what we use for our population census and other licenses that we acquire. But it lacks a certain capacity. That capacity is with regard to the certificates, we being using it as a basis of your citizenship. Now, the content, I agree with all the discussion that have been made in the rulings in the NDC versus Attorney General in the EC, and what Lady Justice Gertrude Tokono has said. But I have a different opinion with regard to the whole concept. It is on the fact that we can use the content on the birth certificate to establish your nationality. However, we can't use the mere document to prove your nationality. Now I'm coming to prove this. It is because we can use the content to establish your nationality, because on the paper your mother's name is there, your father's name is there, and the nationality of your father is there. And if your father is a Ghanaian, automatically you are a citizen of Ghana. However, it lacks certain capacity, because the mere possession of the birth certificate does not mean that you are a citizen of Ghana. Now, someone can take your birth certificate and go and present it. Does that mean that person is a citizen of Ghana? No, we can't establish that. So the concept of citizenship goes beyond birth certificates. So as I said earlier, the birth certificate is one of the requirements that establishes that you are a citizen of Ghana, and they use that for other documents too. So for us to have a complete verification that you are a citizen of Ghana, one of the bases for us to know your existence in the country is by the birth certificate. But the birth certificate itself alone is not a conclusive evidence that you are a citizen of Ghana. So the whole concept operates dependent on the circumstances, because the information on the birth certificate may not be linked to the personality or the person holding the birth certificate. Now let's look at the system that we use to acquire a birth certificate. As we're discussing, somebody in the South.
I would come to that. I want us to get into that bit, because in this day and age, anybody at all can acquire a birth certificate. Anybody at all. And a Chinese person can walk into Ghana and acquire a Ghanaian birth certificate.
He may not even walk into Ghana. He will just stay in his home, and then the birth certificate will be down for it. So how do we then establish the legality and the validity of such a person being a citizen of Ghana? And that is why I agree perfectly well that the mere possession of your birth certificate alone does not make you a citizen of Ghana. But that does not mean that you, the person, are not a citizen of Ghana. I would want to trace this, because Your father may be a citizen of Ghana, your mother may be a citizen of Ghana, and your grandparents may be a citizen of Ghana. That makes you a Ghanaian.
Yeah.
But for us to have you on our database and for you to enjoy your fundamental human rights in Article 42 of you voting, you need to prove and establish that. And that is why when we check all of our CIs that we have used for election, the CI 72, the CI 97, and the CI 129 and the rest, we haven't included birth certificate as one of the requirements for you to register.
But you need a birth certificate to go and register for your voter's ID card.
It wasn't included in
it was ruled out, and I didn't understand.
Because
but you use the birth certificate to acquire the Ghana card that you are using to go and register for the voter's ID card.
That's why I said it's one of the legal requirements, not all. So it is one of them.
But why can't I use it to get a voter's ID card? But I can use it to get a Ghana card that I can use in banks, that I can use anywhere I go to.
It's like you having a transcript and not having your law degree. You can't go anywhere. So you may have your transcript, but then if you don't have the degree certificate, you are still not a graduate. So that is the basis of that. You need, the transcript is there, so the transcript is the birth certificate, but you need the Ghana card as a conclusive evidence that you are a verified citizen of Ghana. So when you compare it to the transcript does not guarantee that you are a graduate or you have completed UPSO law school or you have graduated Legon. But the degree certificate will satisfy that yes, this person has completed UPSO law school. So that's how the concept works.
Bafo, let me take your opinion and then we'll get into the process of getting the birth certificate, because it's funny. It's a funny process. I know someone who sits in his or her room and then calls. How do we even verify that the mother who is saying I'm a Ghanaian, that it will be written on the birth certificate as mother Ghanaian? How do we verify that that mother is actually a Ghanaian? By word of mouth? Let me take Bafo's opinion, then we'll come into this.
All right. I feel this whole tension has been born out of the long-standing acceptance of birth certificate as, because if you should look at even the current National Identification Registration Act, that's Act 950, which amended 2017,
yes,
which amended Act 750 of 2008.
2008.
One of the required documents for obtaining a national ID, and so was is still valid, the birth certificate, and it is considered as a form of proof of nationality. It has been something that we have accepted all this while, so it becomes very difficult for people to reconsider their stance that why should it be the case now. But I have really considered the whole thing as birth certificate is a rebuttable presumption. When you have a birth certificate, I presume that you're a Ghanaian.
Yes.
But then it is not conclusive evidence. Because it's rebuttable, I can challenge your citizenship when you have a birth certificate. So with a birth certificate, the basic rule is that yes, I cannot presume your citizenship by the birth certificate, but then it is not conclusive. Because I can challenge that you acquired it by fraud, or you misrepresented to the registrar your identity. But when someone is have a passport, acquiring a passport, you have to go through a verification officer 1, verification officer 2, verification officer 3. You have the immigration officers there. You have officers of the BNI, intelligence officers. They are all there to
You have to go and take your biometrics, your picture.
Audit every information you have provided to ascertain that indeed this is a proof, or we have subjected it to a strict proof that you're a Ghanaian. And the whole thing is I consider it to be, I'm a student of Oliver Wendell Holmes, so the realists will tell you that the law is not what the positivists think it is the law. It's not just the law that has been passed by Parliament. It's not, the Constitution itself is not law. It is the interpretation that the judges give to the law that is law. That is what the realist tells you. So, the mere fact that we have accepted this as norm, we have accepted birth certificate as a proof of citizenship, the judges, by their power of interpretation, are telling us that no, we have erred. Legally, it shouldn't be so. And one thing,
but do you agree with me that the position of the courts can also change?
Oh yes,
because it depending on the time that things happen. Exactly, because in certain years in America, slavery was allowed, was accepted, it was allowed. Courts agreed on it. But in certain times, they have also repealed those same laws. In certain times, the same America, they allowed whites to be in one class and blacks to be in one class. But now they have repealed that. So the position of the courts is not absolute. It's not. It doesn't stand on its own.
I even want to talk about the context of the case. You know, the case brought was whether or not birth certificate can be used as a proof of nationality for one to acquire
the voters'
ID card. And the court made an emphatic statement. That same court that was in 2016 made a ruling that you can't use the national health insurance.
The case was in 2020.
I'm talking about a different case. In the Abu Ramadan's case.
That's
They said that 2016. They said that you can't use national health insurance as a proof of your citizenship. And they have to surcharge the electoral commissioner to go and remove from the electoral roll all the people who have registered with them. And in making this 2020 decision, the court said that even the NHI card is, even how they call it, a stronger document than the birth certificate.
How?
Yes, the court made that in their ruling.
How is it stronger than the birth certificate? Just because it has my picture?
It's because of the processes of acquiring it. Because the system...
Forgive me if I've forgotten how they acquire that, but you just join a queue, go there, fill the form, take a picture, they print your card out for you when you are back to your house using your card to the hospital.
It
has biometrics.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the process of acquiring the birth certificate is so easy. So we're moving to our next topic as to how people acquire.
But before that, let me read. I've seen that some of our senior colleagues at law are responding to the conversation. I have my senior Richmond Amufasapo. He's watching us. Good afternoon to you wherever you are. And he makes this point. He says birth certificate is the only first material basis of being a citizen of Ghana. It cannot on its own make you a citizen because Ghana isn't like other countries where just by being born there guarantees your citizenship. Ghana's citizenship laws are explicitly clear on how to become a citizen. Okay, thank you very much for this insight. Let's now get into the process of acquiring a birth certificate.
Yes.
It is so easy. Do you know that some people don't even know where they acquire birth certificate?
Exactly.
They don't know that you have to go to birth and death registry. People don't know.
People don't know.
You just sit at the comfort of their homes.
Yes.
You get someone who works at the office, and then they send you a form,
and then
or they send you something, not even online, on WhatsApp. You type it, you send it to them. How do they verify that just by Mametra sitting here saying her mother Joyce is a Ghanaian automatically makes my mother a Ghanaian? Exactly. How do they verify that?
And that is a limitation of the birth certificate. So if the birth and death registry is able to counter this limitation, then it can be challenged to be a legal requirement for you to prove your citizenship. But if these limitations are still there, then we cannot use it as a basis of proving your nationality or your citizenship in Ghana. Because I know a lot of my friends and people who sit in their rooms, call, and then in the next 2 weeks, the birth certificate...
2 weeks? That's too far.
Yes.
That's 2 weeks. I know somebody who can get it in a day for you.
Yes. So these limitations make us question the legality or the basis of proving your nationality with the birth certificate. Because as my brother mentioned, going through the process of getting your passport and Ghana card, look at the tedious work you do before you get your passport. Those processes are not the same when it comes to getting your birth certificate. So these limitations actually make us question the basis of using the certificate as your citizenship requirement. And that's why we are arguing that it should not be used as a basis of what? Of proving your nationality. However, it must be used as one of the requirements if you are to prove that you are a citizen of Ghana. So that's the whole concept.
But don't you think that these lawmakers should do something about this birth certificate? Because I know a couple of Nigerians who are in Ghana who have birth certificates.
Exactly.
I know a couple of Togolese. I know different people who are in this country who this is a sacred paper or sacred identification that is supposed to be. If you are born in America, it is easy. You are supposed to get a birth certificate or a passport. But if you are not, you have to go through a certain process. Don't you think that our laws should be grounded such that they shouldn't make it so easy for you to acquire something such sacred as a birth certificate of a country? It has a coat of arms.
Yeah,
it should hold some power.
Exactly. I think it has to deal with how we see birth certificate and the essence of birth certificate. I said, the essence of birth certificate is record your existence as a living being in Ghana. It is for us to give data to the government that in the year 2023, these are the number of children that were born. And so if you are planning in the next 10 years, use this data to provide for the social amenities and any other infrastructure that we want to establish. However, when it comes to allegiance, we cannot use the birth certificate as a basis because of the system or the processes of getting the birth certificate. If we really want to, or if we want to change the rationale and the essence of using a birth certificate, then the process must be tightened. There must be, a lot of facilities in place to actually use the birth certificate as a legal basis of proving your nationality. However, if these facilities and processes are not there, then we cannot use it due to the limitation that the birth certificate possesses. So if you are able to counter, then we can use the birth certificate as a basis of proving your nationality. If not, it will still be a secondary data of recognizing you that you are a legal or you are a citizen of Ghana. If not, then we go around the table and come back again. So if we want to kill the concept or kill the whole argument that birth certificate is not a legal requirement of you proving your citizenship, then we must put infrastructures in place. We must put facilities in place to actually strengthen the essence of birth certificate in Ghana. If not, then the Ghana card and the passport will be the major legal document establishing the fact that you are a citizen of Ghana.
But Mark, you would agree that other people, I'm coming to you shortly, Bafo. You would agree that this is a general question to all of us, that anybody at all can acquire the birth certificate. So if I acquire the birth certificate and I come to the office to acquire a Ghana card, how do you verify that I'm not a Ghanaian?
So the forms that you fill for your birth certificate.
Because I know people who have lived in Ghana over 20 years. They are not Ghanaians.
They are not Ghanaians.
They don't have parents who are Ghanaians. They don't trace any lineage to Ghana, but they've lived 20 years of their lives in this country. And so they have the birth certificate. They've given birth here. They've gotten birth certificates for their children. Who own these birth certificates? Who can go into the office to acquire a Ghana card, to acquire a passport? How do we verify that these people are not citizens of Ghana?
So it has to do with the forms we fill. That's why I say that the forms you fill when you were getting your Ghana card is different from the forms you fill when you are getting your birth certificate. And the second one has to do with your biometric verification. Your picture is on it. So you have a whole set of documents that one way or the other, if you are able to know, if you don't give accurate information, we will be able to pick you out that no, this information contradicts what you have provided. And so the system has to deal with the processes and the procedure of getting the two documents. Because you can sit in your home and get your birth certificate, but can you sit in your home and get your Ghana card? It's a different ball game altogether. So it has to do with the processes and procedure for us to really establish your nationality. So I will take it from that context.
Okay. Bafo, let me take your view. And a colleague of mine, a colleague student of law, has also sent his view, very lengthy. Lawyers like to write, so I would read that in a minute after Bafo.
All right. I would want to at least differ a little bit from my brother. Point on the fact that the birth certificate is only for statistical purpose. Yeah. Ordinarily, like I from where I live, I see it that the Supreme Court intervention was purposely to cure a mischief. Because if you read Section 39 of the Birth Registration Act
2000.
Yes, it emphatically mentioned that the birth certificate or the certificate issued by the registry cannot be called qualified as a basis of proof that that is the authenticity, if validated, can be approved in any where in fact it mentioned the court as well. So let's say when one gets to the court and has to prove a citizenship,
Yes.
by virtue of that act, that provision of the act, I can, how they call it, tender in my birth certificate.
Exactly.
To prove that. But then I feel, just as we have all mentioned, there are administrative lapses. The executive organ has not really reorganized the role of the birth registry. So people don't go to the birth registry to acquire birth certificate.
People don't even know. They are not aware that that is where you are supposed to get your birth certificate.
And most of the time, they
don't even know where it is.
They even liaise with other organizations like the hospitals. Yes,
they can be issued at the hospitals.
So the integrity process is questionable. And I feel that the court, looking at how sacred issue of citizenship is, if we should leave it so vulnerable, then it will get to a point that we should be counting like 70 million Ghanaians. And we may look at it as a very trivial issue, but then it is a serious issue.
Until you are in a position where people want to contest your citizenship, you might think this is, just
and even to the state, it is a critical issue for us because the state is responsible for its citizenship. And then if you have a situation whereby there is influx of foreigners, and then they have documents to prove their nationality, then it will get to a point that we talk of 32 million Ghanaians, and we are even finding it very difficult to cater for ourselves. We'll get to the point that we'll be mentioning 70 million Ghanaians, and
and almost half of them will not be Ghanaians, but will be holding documents. The reason why I'm bringing this in is because this morning I was listening to someone on radio, and the person was mentioning that when COVID-19 broke out and President was evacuating people who were Ghanaians from other countries, the only thing you needed were documentations. But somebody could have the name Kofi Srebo, and we are leaving this Kofi Srebo in China because he doesn't have a passport, or he doesn't have, he doesn't hold any Ghanaian documentation. But Kofi Srebo cannot be from China. Kofi Srebo, how can Kofi Srebo be from
these
China?
Are some of the legal
even with a point. We have a lot of foreigners, as you've mentioned, who have really integrated into our community. I mentioned a place here in Accra, Zamrama Line. These are Nigerian, and they have been in the country for as long as their memory will serve them. Even they've been fourth generation who cannot even, how they call it, trace their way back to their home, and they consider themselves as Ghanaian because our system are so vulnerable that we are not able to keep some of these people in check. You go to the hospital, Umami doing the same, Papa doing the same, Umami food Papa free. You just give them that
information. It's it's a lot of knowledge. I have just a minute to wrap up. So Mark, wrapping up.
So my last word would be that we can't use birth certificate as a basis, as a conclusive evidence of establishing our nationality or our citizenship due to the administrative lapses that or the processes of acquiring the birth certificate, because the processes lacks a lot of it has a lot of loopholes that we must look at. If we are able to close those loopholes, then we'll be able to verify or use the birth certificate as a basis of establishing your nationality. If we cannot close or counter those loopholes, then we will still be here and we'll still be arguing that the birth certificate must be used or must not be used.
We'll be going back and forth.
Exactly.
My time is up, Mark. I'm sorry, Bafo.
All right. I believe we need consistency in our law. It's very key. And this is an opportunity for Parliament to, how they call it, sit down, review the issue, and then come up with legislation. Because we can't also leave this in the domain of judicial decision, because who knows, Supreme Court has the right to amend its own decision. It will create a state of confusion in the state. One Supreme Court says it is not, another will come and tell us it is. Parliament should take the initiative, and they should make sure that they put a seal on it for us. And administratively, we should also make sure that our integrity institutions are held to account for their integrity in terms of issuing national documents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, for coming. I have been educated a lot this afternoon, and I believe my viewers have also been educated this afternoon. Thank you, Richmond Amofasapong, for also sharing your thoughts, and Maxwell for also sharing your thoughts. I'm very grateful to you for spending this 1 hour with me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Truly African.
Hello, information.
But I'm school.
Me, I have still not got the money for that list of expensive building materials you sent to me. The price of the iron rods have been increased too much, added.
Madam, relax. Look, that's not why I did call you. I just visited IPCP. What the engineers told me,